There are 12 three-note closed-voiced major triad fingerings. Here's an introduction to them. And this first group includes notes from this set I call an arc. The next set from this arc, and the next set from this arc. And these three arcs include every note in the G chord from here through here. So the entire 12 fret range of the fretboard, and then the entire pattern will repeat, or would repeat if you had enough frets. Steps and tones. Half step and whole step are linear units of measurement in music. A half step is a 1 fret interval from the 5th fret at this dot. For example, this is a 1 fret interval to the 6th fret. A whole step is a 2 fret interval from the 5th fret to the 7th fret, for example. Ambiguously, the word step also refers to one of the notes in a scale as a scale step. For instance, here's a C major scale starting here, and the scale tones C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C could be referred to by number as the first scale step, second scale step, the third scale step, and so on. The terms semitone and tone are also used as linear units of measurement in music. A semitone is equal to a half step, a 1 fret interval. A tone is equal to a whole step, a 2 fret interval. The word tone is ambiguously used in relation to 3 different things in music. A unit of measurement expressing a 2 fret interval is a tone. So this is a whole tone. A scale tone referring to one of the notes in a scale. As I said, the C major scale could be numbered, and this would be scale tone 1 and scale tone 2 and scale tone 3 and so on. Or tone could be used as a description of the harmonic content of a note or its timbre. For instance, this chord has a bassy tone. So I've turned the tone control down on my guitar, and I'm on the neck pickup. And this one has a trebly tone. Now I'm on the bridge pickup, and I've turned the tone all the way up. B to C is a half step, and E to F is a half step of all of the natural notes. For example, here are the notes on the 3rd string. A, B, C. Notice B to C is 1 fret. D, E, F. Notice E to F is 1 fret. G, A. All of the other consecutive scale tones in the major scale are whole steps apart, 2 frets. So the C major scale, for example, on the 5th string would be C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. And in that E to F, C, D, E, F are 1 fret. G, A, B, C, and B, C are 1 fret. In numbering the scale tones, scale tone numbers 3 to 4 and 7 to 8 in the major scale are 1 fret apart. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 is the same as 1, an octave higher. Also notice that where the major scale starts over, C, D, E, F, G, A, it's a 2 fret interval, as with the other consecutive scale tones such as C to D. Half steps on the guitar are 1 fret intervals. such as this, and whole steps are 2-fret intervals. In playing the C major scale on the 5th string, in half and whole steps, it's C, D, E, each whole step intervals, and then E to F, half step, F to G to A to B, each a whole step, and then B to C, a half step. So it's 2 whole steps and a half step. Then there's 1 whole step. Then 2 whole steps and a half step again. That's whole, half. Then a whole step. Then beginning there, whole, half again. This can also be played on 2 adjacent strings, whole, half, and then since this interval, notice there's 2 empty frets between my fingers, is a whole step, the same as this, F, G, or F, G. Then you can continue from here, whole, half. To begin building triads on the C major scale, first let's play the C major scale on the 5th string. The notes are C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. And the intervals are 1 fret between E, F, and B, C, and 2 frets between all of the rest of them. C, D, E, each 2 frets, and then 1 fret to F. G, A, B, each 2 frets, and 1 fret to C. If you number these tones, they would be 1, 2, 3, 4, with 1 fret between 3 and 4, and then 5, 6, 7, 8, with 1 fret between 7, 8. And that's true of all major scales. If you're in the G major scale, starting on G, it would still be 1, 2, 3, 4, with 1 fret between 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, with 1 fret between 7 and 8. Now we'll continue with C major scale tone thirds on strings 5 and 4. We'll combine the 5th string C major scale from C through C, that was this, C, D, E, F, 1 fret from E to F, G, A, B, C, 1 fret from B to C. We'll combine that with the 4th string E through E, starting here at the 2nd fret. This is the same note as the 3rd step of the C major scale here, C, D, E. Down 5 frets on the next smaller string, the same note E. We'll progress from E to E on the 4th string. E, F, 1 fret, G, A, B, each 2 frets, B to C, 1 fret, then D and E, each 2 frets. Combining those, we get C and E on the 5th and 4th strings, D and F, E and G. I'm at the 7th and 5th frets on these. And then F and A, I'm at the 8th and 7th frets. G and B, I'm at the 10th and 9th frets. A and C, I'm at the 12th and 10th frets. B and D, I'm at the 14th and 12th frets. And then C and E, I'm at the 15th and 14th frets. A way to track these and help memorize them is number the tones on the 5th string. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1. Remember 8 is the same as 1. Then when the tone on the 5th string is 1, 4, or 5, The harmony on the fourth string, as it's called, is a major third. When it's any of the other numbers, 2, 3, 6, or 7, it's a minor third. Usually the minor third is more practical to finger with first and third fingers, but I'll use the first and second so it will be easier to see where I'm fretting, easier to follow the changes. So again, 1, 4, and 5. When the fifth string notes are C at the 3rd fret, F at the 8th fret, or G at the 10th fret, the harmony is a major third. These are two fingers on adjacent frets. At 2, 3, 6, or 7, such as this D being the second step of the C major scale, 2, 3, 6, or 7 has a minor third with one empty fret between these two fingers. So here they are. 1, C has a major third. 2, D has a minor third. 3, E has a minor third. Up one fret to 4, F has a major third. Then 5, G has a major third. This is the 10th fret, by the way. Then 6, A has a minor third, and that's the 12th fret. 7, B has a minor third, 14th fret. And 1, C, the same as 8, has a major third. 1 major third, 2 and 3 minor thirds, 4 and 5 major thirds, 6 and 7 minor thirds, and then 1 major third. They can be split into two groups of 4 intervals. 1, 2, 3, 4 follows the pattern major, minor, minor, major. Then if you go up a whole step, repeat the same exact pattern. Major, minor, minor, major. Also the intervals in frets on the C scale from 1, 2, 3, 4 are the same intervals, 2 whole steps, then a half step, as from 5 up to 8 or 5 to 1. 2 whole steps, then a half step. Then up a whole step in the same pattern. Also, if you go down, it's the same pattern as going up. This is major, 2 minors, and a major, then major, 2 minors, and a major. In regard to the thirds, going down it's the same thing. Major, 2 minors, and a major. Major, 2 minors, and a major third. Now for C major scale tone triads. Using the thirds we just built on the 5th and 4th string as a basis, which were from scale tones 1 through 1, major third at 1, minor third at 2 and 3, major thirds at 4 and 5, minor thirds at 6 and 7, major third at 1. Review that on the last chapter if you don't recall it. Then adding this note on the 3rd string, G, this C major 3rd interval, C and E, becomes, with the G note, a C major triad, C major chord, a 3-note chord. And that set of intervals is the same here where the 4th step of the scale is F and where the 5th step of the scale is G. So now we're adding to the C scale, which constructed the thirds on the 5th string and the 4th string, C to C on the 5th string, E through E on the 4th string. Now we're adding G through G on the 3rd string. That's G open, A, B. Each whole steps from the open string to the 2nd fret is a whole step 2-fret interval. Then from A to B is a whole step 2-fret interval. B to C is 1 fret. C to D is 2 frets. D to E is 2 frets, so that's E. E to F is 1 fret. F to G is 2 frets. G to A is 2 frets if you continued on up, but we're just going to G. G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. I combine those with the lower 2 notes, and you have C major with C, E, G. That's the 3rd string open G. C, E, G. The 2nd step of the scale on the 5th string, D, combined with these notes in the 4th and 3rd string are D, F, A, a D minor chord. The 3rd step of the scale combines with these notes on the 4th and 3rd strings to make E minor. So D minor at the 2nd step and E minor at the 3rd step. Then F at the 4th step here on the 8th fret is the same chord form as the C, except the open string, I'm touching behind the nut to indicate the open string, has the same intervals as the C. F major and C major, same intervals. So here we're at the 4th step with a major triad. At the 5th step, that's the 10th fret, also a major triad. At the 6th step, a minor triad. At the 7th step, a diminished triad. And at the 8th or 1st step, a major triad. So this is in regard to the notes on the 5th string by letter name: C major, D minor, E minor, F major, G major, A minor, B diminished, and C major. By number, they are 1 major, numbering the tones of the C major scale, 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. 1 major, 2 minor, 3 minor, 4 major, 5 major, 6 minor, 7 diminished, and 1 major. Here's the F major at the 8th fret, with the root at the 8th fret. And I'll use that to compare the 3 different types of chords. F major, in terms of an F major scale, has tones 1, 3, 5. Likewise, G, in terms of a G major scale, would have tones 1, 3, 5 of a G major scale. But here we're on 1, 3, 5 of an F major scale, and that makes F major. If you lower the 3rd, so it's 1 flat 3, 5, it's F minor. If you also lower the 5th, it's 1 flat 3, flat 5, F diminished. This would be true, of course, the same as on the G. G major with 1, 3, 5, 1 flat 3, 5, lowering this note 1 fret that way, is G minor. And with 1 flat 3, flat 5, lowering this note 1 fret, is G diminished. But in the C major scale, these chords F and G are both major. They are scale tones 4, 6, 1 of the C major scale for the F chord, and 5, 7, 2 of the C major scale for the G chord. 4, 6, 1 for the F chord of the C major scale, 4, 6, 1, are the same notes F, A, C as scale tones 1, 3, 5 in an F major scale. So this chord occurs in both the C major scale and the F major scale. Occurs also in the B flat major scale. This G chord is 5, 7, 2, G, B, D of the C major scale, but it's also tones 1, 3, 5 of the G major scale. So here are the chords one more time. C major with the 3rd string open, 1 major, D minor with this 1 fret interval between these 2 fingers, D minor, a 2 minor, E minor, a 3 minor chord, F major, a 4 major chord, G major, a 5 major chord, A minor, a 6 minor chord, B diminished, a 7 diminished chord, and C major, a 1 major chord. These chords are made up of 2/3 in each case. The major chord is a major third and a minor third combined. The lower notes are major third and the upper notes are a minor third. The minor chord is a minor third with the major third. The lower two notes are a minor third and the upper two are a major third, while a diminished triad is a minor third and another minor third. These intervals would change if the notes are changed by octaves. This is F, A, C. It could also be voiced F, A, C, or many different ways, but what I showed here was the notes in what's called root position, with the root of the chord, the note each one is named after, in the bass, and the next two notes going up in their closest available pitch. F, A, C, rather than F, A, C, F to the next possible A to the next possible C, up in pitch. G major scale tone triads on strings 6-5-4. Here are natural notes from G to G on the 6th string. G, A, B, all whole step, 2 fret intervals, then B to C, a half step, D, E, whole steps, then E to F is a half step, then F to G is a whole step. The G major scale needs the intervals whole step, half step, whole step, whole step, whole step, half step. That is 2 steps and a half step, then a whole step, then again 2 steps and a half step. So this part and this part are the same. To make that pattern, the F needs to be sharp. G, A, B, C, D, E are the correct intervals. 1, 2, 3, 4 with 3 to 4 B, C. But 5, 6, 7 needs to be here, and this is E at 6. F would be flat 7. So we need F sharp to make 7. And then 1 is G. 8 and 1 are the same note. Making G major scale tone thirds with the 6th and 5th string, here is scale tone 3, B, in the G major scale, on the 5th string, progressing up to B. B, C, D, E, F sharp, G, A, B, played along with G through G on the 6th string, making a major third at 1, G, minor thirds at 2 and 3, with the lower notes A and B, then a major third from the lower note C and D at steps 4 and 5, minor thirds from the lower notes E and F sharp, scale tones 6 and 7, and then scale tone 1 is major third again. So it's major third at 1, 4, and 5, and minor thirds on the rest. Or you could think major third, 2 minor thirds, and a major third. And then starting at scale tone 5, again, major third, 2 minor thirds, and a major third. From 5 to 1 is the same intervals as from 1 to 4. Then major scale tone triads on strings 6-5-4 for the G major scale. On the 4th string, I'm adding scale tone 5 through 5, D, E, F sharp, G, A, B, C, D, and the triads now have the same qualities as the thirds, except on the 7th step it will be diminished. So it's 1, G major, 2, A minor, 3, that's the note on the 6th string, 3, B minor, 4 on the 6th string, making C major, 5 is D major, 6 is E minor, and 7 is F sharp diminished, which is F sharp minor with a flat 5. Then 1 or 8 is G major. So the change between the qualities of the thirds and the triads is that the 7 chord, the triad on the 7th step, is diminished, whereas with thirds it was minor. So 1, 4, 5 are still major, just as they were with thirds, and 2, 3, 6 are minor, but 7 changes to diminished. F major scale tone triads on strings 4, 3, 2. Here are natural notes from F to F on the 4th string. This is F at the 3rd fret. F, G, A, B, all whole steps. B to C is a half step. Then C to D is a whole step, D to E is a whole step, and E to F is a half step. To correct those intervals to make a major scale, 1, 2, 3, 4 should be a half step. 3 to 4 should be a half step. So F to G, G to A work for the F major scale, but for steps 3 to 4, rather than to B, it needs to be a half step, so to B flat. So if the F major scale, B is flat. That also corrects the interval from scale tone 4, B flat, to scale tone 5, C. And then C to D for 5 to 6 is a whole step, and D to E for 6 to 7 is a whole step, and E to F for scale tone 7 to 1 is a whole step. Then harmonizing in thirds on the 3rd string, playing scale tones 3 through 3, A, B flat, C, D, E, F, G, A, we get major thirds on tones 1, 4, and 5, and minor thirds in the rest. So F, major third, scale tone 1. G and A, those are the tones on the 4th string, minor thirds, scale tones 2 and 3. Then with scale tones 4 and 5 on the 4th string, they're harmonized with major thirds. And for scale tones 6 and 7 on the 4th string, they're harmonized with minor thirds, then major third on 1. So again, it's major on 1, 4, 5, and minor on the rest, making the pattern major, minor, minor, major from 1 to 4, then a whole step to 5, and major, minor, minor, major from 5 up to 1. Harmonizing the F major scale in triads, 3-note chords, adding the 2nd string scale tone 5, C, through C, with the B flat, C, D, E, F, G, A, B flat, C, harmonizes like this. F major, scale tone 1, major triad, scale tone 2, G minor triad, scale tone 3, A minor triad, scale tone 4, B flat major triad, scale tone 5, C major triad, scale tone 6, D minor triad, scale tone 7, E diminished triad, which is D minor with a flat 5, and then scale tone 1 or 8, F major triad. So the thirds at steps 1, 4, and 5 now become major triads at 1, 4, 5, and the thirds at steps 2, 3, and 6, which were minor, now become minor triads at 2, 3, 6. But the minor third at 7 becomes a diminished triad at 7. B flat major scale tone triads on strings 3, 2, 1. Here are the natural notes on the 3rd string from B to B. B on the 4th fret to C is a half step. C to D is a whole step. D to E is a whole step. Then E to F is a half step. F to G a whole step. G to A where the alphabet starts over, a whole step, and A to B, a whole step. For the B flat major scale, the first to second step should be a whole step. B to C is a half step. So to correct this, flat the B, and you have B flat to C, whole step. So starting on B flat now, scale tones 1 to 2 are a whole step, 2 to 3, C to D are a whole step, 3 to 4 needs to be a half step, so D to E is too large an interval. The E needs to be flatted, so D to E flat are scale tones 3 to 4. Then scale tone 4 to 5 is a whole step. E to F would have been a half step here, but since the E is flat, scale tones 4 to 5 are a whole step. Then F to G is a whole step. G to A, a whole step. That was F to G tones 5 to 6, G to A 6 to 7, and then A to B flat is scale tones 7 to 8. Since the B is flat, 7 to 8 is a half step as it should be. If B were natural, 7A would go up a whole step, but we need a half step. So it's scale tones 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1 with half steps between 3, 4 and 7, 1. Oops, 7, 1. Harmonizing in thirds. This time a major third is this interval, barring or fretting on the same fret. This is caused by the change in tuning on the guitar, where in relation to the lower 4 strings, which are tuned at the 5th fret, the second string is tuned flat. It's tuned to the 3rd string at the 4th fret, so it's tuned 1 fret lower in relation to the 3rd string than each of the other strings. 3, 4, and 5 are tuned to the next larger string. Then at the 5th fret of the 2nd string, there's the same note as the 1st string open. So these 2 strings, the first 2 are tuned the same to one another relatively as these lower 3 pairs of strings. And the change then is here between the 3rd and 2nd string. So these lower 4 strings are tuned relatively the same to one another, and any intervals such as the 1st to 4th steps in a major scale would be the same on the 6th and 5th string, scale tones 1, 2, 3, 4 in this major scale, and relatively the same scale tones 1, 2, 3, 4 in this major scale, from 1 to 4 on the 5th and 4th strings, and the same 1, 2, 3, 4 on the 4th and 3rd strings. But to go to the 2nd string, 1, 2, 3, 4, or 1, 2, 3, 4. The note in the 2nd string had to be moved up 1 fret to compensate for it being tuned lower by 1 fret. And since the 2nd and 1st string are tuned to one another relatively the same as the lower strings, the first 2 strings are in effect 1 fret flat in relation to the other strings. So this is a major third on the 3rd and 2nd string, whereas any other pair of strings, a major third would be fretted like this. So major thirds going up in the interval of a perfect 4th, this being a perfect 4th, would be fingered the same here, but when you hit the 3rd and 2nd string, they need to be on the 2nd fret. I mean on the same fret. And then here on the first 2 strings, they're fingered the same as the lower ones. I'm going up a fret here so that the interval of the root of each major third progresses up in the same interval, and it has to be compensated because the 2nd string again is tuned flat. So this is a major third. That means, confusingly, this interval is a minor third. on these strings, because a minor third has the upper note 1 fret lower than the lower note. On the lower strings, that same fingering would make a major third. So we have major thirds here, and then here we have a minor third. Whereas this is a major third on the same fret. Then on the first two strings, the minor third is back to this interval. But here, this is a minor third, and this is a major third. And this fingering is not a third at all, unless you want to call it a diminished third, which means it's a minor third made 1 fret smaller. But it's a second otherwise. A whole step interval. Here, this is the same pitch as this. 2 fret interval, 2 fret interval. But this 3 fret interval is a minor third, and this 4 fret interval is a major third. So the B flat major scale, harmonized in thirds, would be major third at 1. Remember, I'm counting from the third string. Major third at 1, minor third at 2 and 3, that's the C and the D. Then a major third at E flat and F, scale tones 4 and 5. Minor third at scale tone 6. Minor third at scale tone 7. And then major third up at scale tone 8 or 1. 1, 2, 3, 4 are major, minor, minor, major. And then 5, 6, 7, 1 are also major, minor, minor, major. Harmonizing in triads, this is a major triad on strings 3, 2, 1. And this is a minor one. Then the diminished one up at scale tone 7 will be the minor one with a flat 5, like this. So here you have the third string, B flat major, scale tone 1, C minor, scale tone 2, D minor, scale tone 3, up a half step to E flat major, scale tone 4, and whole step up to F major, scale tone 5, G minor, scale tone 6, and then A minor with a flat 5, A diminished, scale tone 7, and up a half step to B flat major, scale tone 1. C major scale tone 7th chords on strings 5, 4, 3, 2. First, ambiguously, the word 7th is used to refer both to a group of chords sharing the word 7th in their name, such as major 7th, minor 7th, major 7th, C minor 7th, C minor 7 flat 5, C diminished 7th. Those all have 7th in their name, so you might say those are all C 7th chords of one kind or another. And also C 7th, written in with the letter C and then the Arabic numeral 7, is an abbreviation for C dominant 7th. So this is written C 7th and is C dominant 7th, abbreviation C 7th. Confusing. So here's the C major scale on the 5th string again. C, D, E, F, scale tones 3 to 4, half step. G, A, B, C, scale tones 7 to 8, a half step. Then scale tone thirds on strings 5 and 4. Major third at 1, then minor thirds at 2 and 3, the D and E. Major thirds at 4 and 5, the F and G. Minor thirds at 6 and 7, the A and B, and major third at 1. So again, it's major, minor, minor, major from 1 to 4, then up a whole step to major at 5, and from 5 to 1 it's major, minor, minor, major. Same interval pattern, same pattern of thirds, major, minor, minor, major on 1 through 4, and major, minor, minor, major from 5 through 1. Then with triads it was major, and I'm playing the third string open here, major, and that's the same interval relatively as a major one will be up here, but rather than a fretted note back here I have an open string. But notice there's still one empty fret between the note and my third finger, as there is up here. Between this note and the third finger there's this empty fret down here with C, there's also this empty fret between the open string and this fretted note. So it's relatively the same chord. I'm just using these two fingers. So major at 1, 4, and 5. 1, 2, 3, with minors at 2 and 3. And there's 5. And then minor at 6, minor flat 5 are diminished at 7, and major at 8 or 1. So it's 1 major, 2, 3 minor, 4, 5 major, 6 minor, 7 diminished, and 1 major. Then making finally the C major scale tone 7th chords. On the first step there's C major 7th. This is with the 3rd and 2nd string open, and I'm including both the C major scale from 1 to 1 on this string, on the 5th string, scale tones 3 through 3 on this string, scale tones 5 through 5 on this string, 5, 6, 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and now 7 through 7 on the 2nd string, B, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, and I'm playing those in tandem, you could say. C major 7th, scale tones 1, 3, 5, 7. D minor 7th, scale tones 2, 4, 6, 1. E minor 7th, scale tones 3, 5, 7, 2. F major 7th, scale tones 4, 6, 1, 3. G 7th, notice the space between these two fingers. Scale tones 5, 7, 2, 4. A minor 7th, notice the space between these two fingers. Scale tones 6, 1, 3, 5. And B minor 7th flat 5, also called B half diminished, at scale tone 7. And then back to C major 7th at scale tone 8 or 1. So you have major 7th at 1 and 4. So the major chords, as far as the triad that were at 1 and 4, now become major 7ths. And the major triad at 5 now becomes dominant 7th. That's because in building the scale between this note and this note, it's a minor 3rd. And between this note and this note, it's also a minor 3rd. Whereas in the major 7th chords, the 3rds that construct it are major 3rd from here to here, and then from here to the 3rd string opens a minor 3rd, and from the 3rd string open to 2nd string opens a major 3rd. So the 3rds that build it are in order from lowest pitch to highest pitch. Major 3rd, minor 3rd, major 3rd. Same with this one on the 4th step. It's a major 7th, so it also is major 3rd, minor 3rd, major 3rd. But this dominant 7th is major 3rd, minor 3rd, minor 3rd again. Notice the upper part of it, it's actually a diminished triad, has a darker quality, while the lower part has a brighter quality. It's hybrid sounds, you get hybrid moods with the 7th chords, because they combine the happy major and the minor, the sad minor sounds and the sadder diminished sounds to make these 4-note chords. So that D minor 7th is on the 2nd step where there was a minor triad, and the minor triad on the 3rd step is a minor 7th, and the minor triad on the 6th step becomes a minor 7th. So all 3 of the minor triads, D minor, E minor, and A minor, on strings, on scale tones 2, 3, 6, all become minor 7ths. And the diminished triad on the 7th step becomes minor 7th flat 5, also called half diminished. The chords we've just built on the C major scale are close voiced. Their notes are as close together as they can be. For instance, this is a C close voice chord, C, E, G. It's just up one octave from these. C, E, G on strings 4, 3, 2. And an open voice chord would not have the notes in their closest voicing. For instance, if I put this E, C, E, G, the middle note E down an octave, I have E, C, G. Now the notes are not in their closest position, and this is called open voiced. Alternately, I could revoice this C, E, G with the E up an octave. Here, and we have C, G, E, or the G note could be fingered here, C, G, E. So this is open voiced. These are all close voiced G chords, and these are open voiced ones. Rather than the notes going in order G, B, D, they are G, D, B. Actually, you could conceive the notes in a triad by number or letter in a cycle, this one being 1, 3, 5. Just consider that in a cycle, 1, 3, 5. And then if you were to read the cycle in reverse order, 1, 5, 3, that's the order for the most typical open voicing on guitar. 1, 3, 5, ascending in pitch, and then 1, 3, 5 in reverse order. 1, 5, 3 makes an open voice chord. I'll be presenting the open voice triads in a little different manner. Rather than playing them all in the same key, like I did with the close voiced ones, I'll be changing keys, as I think it's a little easier to organize in your mind with these open voice ones, the same shape, and seeing it move across the strings, because the forms are a bit more complicated to look at. So this is the G open voice triad with the root in the bass, and then the C, and then the F. Root, 5th, 3rd, root, 5th, 3rd, root, 5th, 3rd. Then here, the G chord again, but with a 3rd in the bass. 3rd, root, 5th, then to the key of C. 3rd, root, 5th, into the key of F. 3rd, root, 5th. Then with the 5th in the bass. 5th, 3rd, root, or 5th, 3rd, root, for the key of G, and then for the key of C. 5th, 3rd, root, and then for the key of F. 5th, 3rd, root. To review all of those, root position in G, C, and F. 3rd in the bass, first inversion in G chord, C chord, F chord. 2nd inversion, 5th in the bass for a G chord or a C chord and an F chord, which could also be barred if you are plucking or somehow a major triad is 1, 3, 5 by number, and is comparable to those numbered tones of a major scale on its root. The root is the note after which it is named. In the C major scale, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1. 1, 3, 5 played together. 1, 3, 5. I just moved this 5th note, the G, to the 3rd string open. 1, 3, 5 is a major chord. Could also be played here. 1, 3, 5. Flatting the third, 1 flat 3, 5, makes a minor chord. Flatting the fifth as well makes a diminished chord. Inversion of triads. This is a C major chord, the first, third, and fifth step of a C major scale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1. 1, 3, 5 being here. Actually, I could walk through the scale and emphasize those numbers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then play 1, 3, 5. C major chord in root position because the root 1 is in the bass. If instead I voiced it with the third in the bass, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, had this third in the bass, then the fifth, and put the 1 up an octave here. That's C again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1. C is 1. With the third in the bass, it would be called first inversion. And it doesn't matter what order the other two notes are. This could be 3, 5, 1 or 3, 1, 5. It's still first inversion because 3 is in the bass. So third in the bass is first inversion. When the fifth is in the bass, it's called second inversion. This is 5, 1, 3. Or down here with open strings, 5, 1, 3. Right here, 5, 1, 3, G, C, E. It would still be second inversion with the fifth in the bass if it were, instead of 5, 1, 3, if it were 5, 3, 1. 5, 3, 1 is still second inversion because it's named in regard to which of the tones is in the bass. So we have root position with root in the bass, first inversion with the third in the bass. This is 3 of C, E in the bass. And second inversion with the fifth in the bass. G is in the bass here, so it's second inversion. E is in the bass, so what inversion is that? First inversion. Root is in the bass, C, so what is that? Root position. Root position, first inversion, second inversion. First inversion, third in the bass, second inversion, fifth in the bass. So now to prepare for figuring out the 12 3-note closed voice triads, we're starting with these 3 inversions on the first 3 strings. This one with the root G in the bass, this one with the third B in the bass, and this one with the fifth D in the bass. And for each one of these, we're going to put the top note down an octave. This is 3, 5, 1. Now this is 3, 5, 1 with the 1 down an octave. And then successively we'll make the same kind of inversion. This is now 1, 3, 5, and now it's going to be 1, 3 with 5 down here, 1, 3, 5. To make these inversions, you'll need to know these octave shapes. This is an E form octave, the top 2 notes in an E chord, the top 2 E notes in an E chord, E here and E here, 4th string 2nd fret and 1st string open, the lower one being 6th string open E. These top 2 notes make an E form octave. All 3 of them would be these 3. I have now moved the E notes of the E chord, these 3 E notes, each up 1 fret. Now they're Fs, but they're in the E form. Here they're Gs, but they're in the E form. And the top 2 notes, top 2 octave notes, are in the E form. And as we invert these chords, you'll need that as one of the 3 octave shapes. So in this one, this top note, I'll move down an octave. And now I get this. Next, I'll need a C form octave. In the C chord, the C notes are here, 5th string and 2nd string, and that makes a C form octave. On whichever note you play them, they're the C form, but they have a different name. Now they're E notes, but they're in the C form. So back to this G chord, this first inversion, I used the E form octave and brought this G down to here for that chord. And with the next inversion, I'm taking this note and moving it down the C form octave to here, and then I get this. Now as you're going through all of these inversions, you'll need to be able to visualize some notes. Here I'm playing 3rd, 5th root, or B, D, G. With the next inversion, I'll put this note down an octave, so I'll need to visualize that note here and visualize these 2 unchanged notes, and then be able to take my hand off and still see these, and visualize this one down an octave here. So then I see these with this one, and I grab that. Then successively the same sort of thing. I'll see these 3 notes and move this one down an octave to there, but be able to still visualize where these 2 are. So I need these 2 with that moved an octave to there. So I have this. There are the unchanged ones, and this one down an octave to here. Then for this last one, I'll need the G form octave. In the G chord, the G notes, open position G chord, the G notes are G on the 6th string, here at the 3rd fret, same fret on the 1st string, and the 3rd string open. These 2 lower notes, 2 lower Gs, 6th string and 3rd string, form the bottom part of the G form octave. Now I'm playing A notes, but they're in the G form, in the same shape as these G notes. Of course, here on the 3rd string, I'm illustrating the open string. So this is the G form octave, the 2 lower notes. Now back to the triads, the G triad inverting. Here, this is shaped like an open position E chord, and this top note needs to go down an octave to there, and that's the G form octave I was referring to. So I have to again visualize these 2 unchanged notes with this one down an octave here and grab those. And as you're going through these, it's best to start with at least the fingering that you think you could get to this chord with the fastest. So here I would finger this like this, not like this or something, but by barring the 5th and 4th strings and fretting the 6th string with my 3rd finger. Now the next one will involve those same 3 octave shapes. Now visualize these 2 notes unchanged, and the top note goes down an octave to here, or finger it this way, and that note going down an octave was again in the E form, like these 2 upper E's in the E chord. So G chord, top note goes down an octave, then now this is the top note, go down in the C form octave to here. So you have this, these 2 are unchanged, and this one goes down an octave to here. Now you have this. Now this one will go down an octave in the G form to here. So I need to visualize these 2 unchanged notes and add the 6th string. So this is the same shape as an E chord, but on the next strings up, which down here would be a B chord. So in that one, again, we have these inversions. Then the last set, G chord at the 10th fret with the root in the bass. Top note goes down an octave, E form to here. Visualize these 2 unchanged notes with this one down an octave, then you have this, or this, these three notes. Then the top note again, here, goes down an octave. I'll just use my first finger now. Down an octave to here, C form octave. So the unchanged notes were here, and this one went down an octave to there. So we get this changing to this. That's this, and this note. Third, fifth root. Now again, the upper note down an octave is in the G form on these strings, and becomes this. The two unchanged notes here, the top note going down an octave to here, giving you this. And now review. First three strings, first inversion with third in the bass, invert down to root in the bass, invert down to fifth in the bass, invert down to the third in the bass. Then here, 7th fret, with the fifth in the bass, invert down to thirds in the bass, invert down root in the bass, invert down fifth in the bass. At the 10th fret, root in the bass, invert down so the fifth is in the bass, invert down so the third is in the bass, and invert down so the root is in the bass. Making these arcs. Which can be played in two halves, making up all of these notes from which that inversion set came. And this one also can be played in two halves, which make up all of these inversions. And this one, again in two halves, which make up these inversions. Now for close-voiced minor chords, start with this G minor, third in the bass, and that's in an E minor form, derived from this E minor chord moved up to G. Third in the bass, fifth in the bass, and root in the bass. E form octave, move the top note down an octave. Then in the C form octave, move the top note down an octave. Then in the G form octave, move the top note down an octave. Then first three strings, fifth in the bass, move the top note down an octave. Becomes this or this, just different fingering. Then move the top note down an octave to here. And then again the top note down an octave. Then with the root in the bass on the first three strings, top note down an octave goes to here. Becomes this A minor shape, like open position A minor shape. Top note down an octave, here to here. And this one, be careful not to sound the second string, it'll make it major. Then this one, top note down an octave. Reviewing all these, we have third in the bass, invert down, root in the bass, invert down, fifth in the bass, invert down, third in the bass. Of course, these are all flat thirds. Fifth in the bass, invert down, third in the bass, invert down, fifth in the bass, root in the bass, invert down, fifth in the bass. Root in the bass, invert down, fifth in the bass, invert down, third in the bass, invert down, root in the bass. arcs for this one are much more difficult to finger all at once. That one you can, but this one has a configuration of this plus this and is not really very practical to finger at once. Maybe with 6 fingers. But it's these 3 notes plus these 3 notes. And then this one, again, not easy to finger without 6 fingers. Now for open-voiced minor on G minor, C minor, and F minor, with root in the bass, root, 5th, flat 3rd. That was G minor. Then C minor, root, 5th, flat 3rd. F minor, root, 5th, flat 3rd. So G minor, C minor, F minor. Then flat 3rd in the bass, first inversion. G minor, flat 3rd, root, 5th. For C minor, flat 3rd, root, 5th. And for F minor, flat 3rd, root, and 5th. So G minor, C minor, and F minor. Then with 5th in the bass. For G minor, 5th, flat 3rd, root, or 5th, flat 3rd, root. Could also be barred if you're plucking strings and not plucking the 3rd string. Then for C minor, 5th, flat 3rd, root, or 5th, flat 3rd, root, 5th, flat 3rd, root. And for F minor, 5th, flat 3rd, root.